Imagine walking onto a dealership lot and seeing trucks once priced at $80,000 now being practically shoved into your hands for $20,000. Just a few years ago, these machines were hyped as unstoppable, untouchable, and worth every inflated penny. Salespeople strutted like kings, telling buyers they were lucky to even get a chance at one. Today, those same dealers are whispering about survival while staring at rows of unsold trucks that bleed them dry by the day. This collapse isn't just about falling prices, it's about arrogance catching up, technology failing in the real world, and families paying the price for promises that were never meant to be kept. By the end of this story, you'll see why this collapse isn't just a sale, it's a surrender. For years, dealerships treated trucks like royalty. Scarcity was the myth, and markups were the weapon. Buyers lined up, sometimes waiting months, while prices climbed higher and higher. $80,000 stickers became the norm. Families stretched their budgets, convinced they were buying not just a truck, but a piece of pride. But take a drive past those same lots today, and the picture is unrecognizable. Where once there was excitement, now there's silence. Empty sidewalks, unsold rows of gleaming machines, and managers calculating how much they're losing every single day. Every unsold truck costs them about $50 in interest just to sit there. Multiply that by hundreds of units, and the showroom starts to feel less like a business and more like a graveyard. Suddenly, the fear of missing out is gone. Buyers who once begged for allocation now smell desperation. Rebates that had been locked away for years reappear like magic. Trade-in offers seem generous. Financing packages sound too good to be true. And the truth is, it's because they are. Dealers aren't making sales out of generosity. They're clawing to stop the financial bleeding. But the collapse you see on the lot is only the surface. The real betrayals run deeper than just falling prices. The electric pickup was marketed as destiny, the future of work and play. Ads promised torque beyond imagination, effortless towing, and technology that would leave gasoline behind forever. Families signed up for waiting lists, convinced they were witnessing history. The Ford Lightning was supposed to be the symbol of a new age, but when real people put them to the test, reality punctured the dream. Hook up a trailer, and the range collapsed. Drive in cold weather, and batteries drained like leaking buckets. Long trips turned into anxiety attacks, with charging stations miles away or broken. That future truck that executives paraded as revolutionary quickly became a driveway ornament. Resale values plummeted. Repairs dragged on for weeks. Customers like Sarah in Michigan described it as a $75,000 science experiment, and she wasn't alone. Forums filled with complaints. Dealers who had bet big on these so-called future trucks watched as they sat untouched for months, each one eating through carrying costs. The EV truck wasn't progress. It was panic disguised as innovation, and if the forward-looking models failed this spectacularly, the luxury flagships embarrassed both brands and buyers even more. Do you remember when the Hummer EV was unveiled? Executives called it a halo product, a showpiece to prove America's dominance in design and engineering. The price soared into six figures. Dealers bragged that wealthy buyers would fight over the privilege to own one. It was supposed to scream status, but reality hit harder than any advertisement could hide. These trucks weighed more than some dump trucks. Tires cost hundreds apiece and burned out in no time. Under real-world loads, the range dropped to barely 150 miles. Buyers with deep pockets realized quickly that prestige didn't replace practicality. And now, many of these six-figure machines sit untouched on lots for over 100 days, their tires gathering dust, while managers quietly admit they'd rather give them away than keep paying to store them. The Escalade IQ followed the same path, overpriced, overhyped, and now overlooked. Luxury pride became dealer shame. But the deepest betrayal wasn't in the flashy luxury models. It struck at the very heart of what trucks were supposed to represent, the dependable workhorse. For decades, diesel trucks were the backbone of American life. Farmers, contractors, fleets, they all relied on diesel for its toughness, its dependability, its power. You could trust a diesel to work when nothing else would. It wasn't just a machine, it was a lifeline. That trust has been shattered. Modern emission systems, designed to meet regulations and squeeze out efficiency, turned bulletproof engines into fragile ticking time bombs. Sensors fail, injectors collapse at 30,000 miles, and trucks limp into dealerships crippled before the warranty is even half used. Fleet managers in the Midwest report entire lines of trucks sitting useless, costing them contracts and credibility. Families who saved for years to buy a heavy-duty pickup are staring at repair bills that rival a mortgage payment. The symbol of reliability now defines frustration. And here's the bitter truth. It wasn't an accident. This wasn't fate. It was engineered fragility. Systems designed with complexity that betrayed the very people who built this industry with their trust. But even that wasn't the end of the nightmare. When engineers started tinkering with engines, they created disasters that destroyed families' finances. Cylinder deactivation was supposed to save fuel. Turn off half the cylinders when you don't need them, they said. Efficiency without sacrifice, they promised. What they didn't tell you was that it turned engines into grenades. GM owners discovered this the hard way. Lifters collapsed, camshafts shredded, and engines died at 60,000 miles or less. Families who paid 80 grand for a truck suddenly faced $4,000 to $6,000 in repairs, often just after the warranty expired. Service departments overflowed with angry customers while automakers shrugged, buried complaints, and blamed drivers. And then came the hybrids, pitched as the perfect bridge to the future. Ford's Power Boost hybrid looked amazing on paper. Power, efficiency, and reliability in one package. But when electrical controls or battery cooling failed, ordinary mechanics couldn't fix it. Owners were stranded for weeks with bills that stretched into thousands. Toyota, long known for bulletproof durability, stumbled too. Its new hybrid truck suffered overheating turbos, limp mode malfunctions, and chain issues that shattered trust. What was sold as progress was really experimentation on paying customers. And when families thought smaller trucks might offer safety from these disasters, they found the same poison bottled in a smaller package. The midsize pickup was supposed to be the practical choice. Smaller, cheaper, easier to maintain. But that promise collapsed quickly. Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon owners reported transmission shudders, rear differential failures, and glitchy electronics. Ford Rangers brought back turbo issues that should have been left in the past. Even Nissan's Frontier, which many thought was safe in its simplicity, suffered from crude transmissions and reliability issues. And then there were the orphans, trucks that were abandoned entirely, like the Nissan Titan. Imagine buying a brand new truck only to find out the company killed it. Resale value collapses, parts become harder to find, and long-term support evaporates. Owning one feels less like pride and more like punishment. Automakers sold people orphans and then walked away. But the collapse wasn't just mechanical. It was financial, and it hit families hardest. Think about it. $1,200 every month for a truck payment. That's more than most people's rent or mortgage. Add in repairs that strike right after warranties expire, $4,000 bills for injectors or turbos, and suddenly ownership feels more like suffocation. Families that once dreamed of driving home a shiny new truck now see it as a financial trap. Contractors miss jobs, workers miss paychecks, and households break under the weight of debt. No wonder older rigs from the early 2000s are suddenly worth gold. They may not have the latest screens, but they actually start every morning. Automakers pushed fragile tech while hiking prices. Confident people would stretch themselves to breaking. And now, something has broken. And while families drown, the dealers themselves are bleeding out too. Behind every polished glass window of a dealership, there's panic. Unsold trucks rack up financing charges, $50 a day per vehicle. Sit unsold for 100 days, and the dealer is thousands in the hole before a buyer even steps on the lot. Sales staff are under orders to move old inventory first, even if it means slashing profits. Discounts appear where markups once ruled. Hidden fees sneak into contracts. Managers whisper about survival while smiling through desperate handshakes. Corporate offices only make it worse, punishing stores that can't move enough units. Dealers are trapped, squeezed between manufacturers demanding numbers and customers who finally have the upper hand. And when the dealers suffer, the damage climbs the ladder straight into corporate boardrooms. Executives once strutted across stages, bragging about billion-dollar expansions. They promised golden futures, pouring money into new plants and electrification projects. Today, those same projects are being canceled. Ford trims lightning output. General Motors delays new models. Volkswagen shifts resources away from risky bets. And the fallout? Towns that depended on these factories lose jobs, workers lose hours, and families lose stability. The irony is clear. Customers paid inflated prices, absorbed fragile technology, and carried debt while CEOs cashed out bonuses. When the crash came, it wasn't them who suffered. It was the workers and buyers who were left holding the bag. And with every broken promise, the cultural meaning of the truck itself began to collapse. Once, driving a new pickup was a badge of honor. It meant you'd made it. It was a statement of strength, hard work, and independence. Ads showed cowboys, contractors, and families conquering the open road. But today, that badge has lost its shine. A new truck no longer inspires admiration. It inspires suspicion. Neighbors whisper about how high the payments must be. Friends wonder how long before it breaks down. Pride isn't in chrome anymore. It's in a 2-decade-old truck that still hauls without complaint. Reliability is the new status symbol. The cultural script has flipped, and automakers are left scrambling. And while America's truck culture cracks, foreign rivals see their opening. In China, companies like BYD are building trucks at a fraction of Detroit's cost. While American firms struggle to produce at $30,000 per unit, rivals can build them for $15,000 and still profit at $20,000. Their goal isn't prestige, it's domination of the middle-class market. If tariffs shift or markets open, foreign pickups could flood into American driveways. For buyers, it might feel like salvation. Finally, trucks at honest prices. For Detroit, it's an existential threat. Market share, culture, pride, all on the line. But here's where the story twists. In this collapse, buyers finally hold the cards. For the first time in years, you walk into a dealership with real power. That shiny truck sitting on the lot for 90 days, it's already costing them thousands. That's your leverage. Always ask for the oldest stock. Demand written warranties on fragile systems like lifters and hybrids. And never forget the oldest tactic: walk away. The moment you refuse pressure, managers fold. Families and contractors are saving $5,000 to $10,000 simply by flipping the script. They built this disaster on arrogance, but their desperation is now your advantage. What we're seeing isn't just falling prices. It's a collapse of arrogance, of false promises, of cultural myths. Trucks that once defined pride are now symbols of fragility and debt. Dealers are bleeding, executives are retreating, and foreign rivals are sharpening their knives. But in this collapse, you hold the power. Buyers finally have leverage. Families can turn their pain into an advantage. The only way to win is with knowledge, knowing how deep the cracks run, and using that to your benefit. They built this empire on our trust. Now it's crumbling under its own weight. And while they count losses, you can count savings, if you know how to play their desperation against them. So, before you walk onto a lot, remember, this isn't just a sale. It's a surrender, and it might just be the best chance you'll ever get to flip the script on an industry that's been taking advantage of you for years.